Hello and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. So often the question gets thrown around, how do I know if I'm actually building muscle? Or there's the frustrations of working really hard only to realize your body doesn't really look that different. You feel like you're still soft, even though you're busting your ass in the gym. You might lose weight and either get stuck still feeling like there's no definition or tone, or lacking energy, finding it hard to then stay on track, not knowing what to do next. I'm not seeing the results I want. What am I doing wrong? We've not really been taught what to do after the diet. So then we get caught, or we've never really understood how all of these elements fit together. Everything that is marketed at us, everything that's seen on social media is all around losing fat. When we have a desire to be leaner and to enhance our physique, it can be really confusing on where to look, and especially if we are in this fear state where we don't want to gain fat, like fat phobia sort of thing, is what social media feeds us. Once you understand this, you can sift through the bullshit and not fall for stuff. In control of your results and on track. I'm going to clear the confusion because the thought of maybe I need to diet again because I'm not lean enough. Maybe I need to add in more HIIT or more cardio. Or if we think about when we got our best results, it's usually when we started something or when we did something for the first time. Because when you start something, you get fast results at first. Progress isn't linear. What worked for you at first isn't going to keep working. Muscle growth in itself is a very slow process and it's not linear. When we start a program, when we start an exercise, we're going to see more progress with that exercise, with that program at first, because number one, the exercise is new to us. So as we improve our skill on it, we get stronger at it. There's the neural connection that our brain has with our muscle that increases our strength as our muscle units get that synchronicity of, okay, you need to fire in this order to make this exercise happen like this. So then as it gets better at that, you get stronger at that exercise. As a newbie, you can build muscle faster because any new stimulus creates a bigger change. And then welcome to the game of leveling up. As you level up, you are going to see progress slow down. So why do results slow down and how can we understand the normality of it? In the beginning, anything works. Literally anything, group classes, combat, all of it, because it's a new stimulus. It's why you see in research that running builds muscle for some people that are completely detrained because they've never loaded their legs before. You start lifting weights, eat more protein, push yourself, bam, you start seeing more changes, more definition, some new shape to your muscles. Your clothes might start fitting differently. But then the results slow down, and instead of trusting that process, you start jumping around, cutting calories, adding more cardio, thinking we need to do something else or something more drastic. Now, granted, if you're not doing a good approach, it's probably a good thing that you didn't trust the process. But this whole paradigm is why so many people get stuck when they are on the right path. What we need to realize is that muscle growth is so much slower than we realize. So much slower. It's just hardening if you're expecting it to be a fast process. And that's why so many people go back to fat loss, because fat loss, you can feel and see results and the difference within weeks. Muscle growth, you just end up feeling fluffy and bigger and fuller and everything against what we've been taught. But when you do feel like you're getting bulky fast, that isn't muscle, because muscle doesn't grow that fast. You get more water storage, you eat more glycogen storage, then more water storage with that. That's not actual lean muscle mass. Your body needs so much more time to adapt and to keep progressing. So if you keep jumping from one thing to another or between programs or changing up your exercises all the time, you're never going to see the muscle changes that you want. If you're on one of those downloadable programs that changes programs every month, you're not giving your body enough time to adapt. You're not giving your body the stimulus to build muscle, because if you're not plateauing on your exercises, you're not progressing, because plateaus are progress if you know how to push them. Because when the exercises start to get challenging to see progress on paper, that is when you are literally forcing them to change session by session. you're pushing, you're grinding, you're trying to get that extra rep, that extra everything, but it won't happen for probably another week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But the fact is that you're pushing it. Now, if it's your upper body, it might be even longer, probably a lot longer. Like I'm still pushing the same freaking dumbbells for my shoulder press. But once again, it's normal. You're still putting maximum tension on the muscles. When it comes to training, more isn't better, smarter is better. So many of us think that just because we're lifting weights, we're going to build muscle. We show up, we eat protein, we get ourselves out of a diet, we lift weights, voila, we're going to build muscle. Just because you're not dieting, just because you're lifting weights, eating protein, does not mean you're going to build muscle. Well, get here at first, like I said. But then you need to become a lot more intentional and your training needs to become a lot more strategic. And this is why I always say stop focusing on the results that you're not seeing or that you're trying to chase. Stop trying to look for progress. Start trying to look at the process. You zoom in on the process and execute everything better. Because I know that if I execute everything better, if I focus on PRing the process, I know that I'm on the path because we are PRing on the process. But if we keep doing 3 sets of 10 or 12 to 15 reps all the time, is that really quality training? So many people think that 12 to 15 reps is lightweight, high reps, build muscle. It's not really lightweight, it's heavyweight because you still should be failing within that 12 to 15 rep range. Failing at the 12 reps, you're forcing out the 13th. Maybe there's a 14th and you get 12 again. Then you get 12, like 14, then 12, 12. Pushing those sets. You don't want to stop when it burns. You want to push until your form fails. That is how you know that you're sending the right signal to grow. Track the lifts. Always track your lifts. Film your lifts. See if the last rep is slowing down. Because if it's not slowing down, you probably had another 1 or 2 left in you. It's kind of awesome when you realize that, hey, I actually had a couple more left in me. And like I mentioned, make sure that you're still using good form when you do that because you don't want other muscles to take over or to use momentum or to compromise the movement that it turns into a different movement. If you're training 5 to 6 days a week and just adding extra sets, doing a drop set because, the burn, you're not really standardizing for anything unless there is specifically a drop set written in the program. Just adding them free willy-nilly doesn't do much. It's not something that should be in there all the time for every single exercise or every single set. Again, strategy. You need strategy. Muscle doesn't just grow from doing more work. It needs specific increasing intensity. And I've already kind of touched on what that includes. You want quality sets, not a lot of sets. Take longer rest periods so that you can push heavier loads and make sure that you are recovering between sessions. Recovery isn't just rest days and it's not just sleep. Recovery is nutrition as well. You don't want to chase lean by burning yourself out. You chase lean by getting stronger. You chase lean by fueling lean. You chase lean by putting in quality work in the gym to build muscle and paying attention to the quality of your nutrition as well. Before we go on to that, we need to talk about calories. You cannot stay in a deficit forever. You cannot deficit on the physique that you want, even if you have fat to lose. You can't deficit your way to your end goal. It's fatiguing, especially if you have more fat to lose, especially if it's just that last bit of fat that you think that you need to get rid of first. It's usually muscle that is going to make the biggest of the difference. You can look leaner by body recomposition. You should never really focus on body recomposition. It's the outcome of focusing on building muscle. Trying to do both at the same time doesn't work. Focusing on building muscle does work. If you've been trying to diet forever, just putting yourself into a deficit isn't going to work because most women are chronically dieting, just barely eating enough or cutting calories all the time, but never truly fueling muscle growth and not for long enough. You need to eat enough for long enough. If you're always under eating, slashing your calories or going back into a deficit or thinking about dieting, you're sending one message to your body: survive, not thrive, not build muscle, survive. Even if you're just thinking about fat loss and you're not in fat loss, because psychology and physiology cannot be separated. If your foot is always out the door, it's going to be really freaking difficult for you to push it in the other direction. If you're eating at maintenance or even in a slight surplus and you feel fluffier, that's not fat gain. especially if you're a maintenance. You're going to feel fluffier. You're going to feel like you're bigger because you're so used to, many of you, not eating enough carbs, not fueling yourself, not training hard. But if you're training hard and you're fueling yourself, especially at first, you're going to feel so much bigger. And I spoke about this in the Lean Legs podcast, but your glycogen storage capacity in muscles increases so much when you start doing this, meaning your muscles are going to be a lot more saturated, a lot more hydrated with glycogen and with water. That's a really good thing because that gives us shape, and it's on the way to the more enhanced physique that we want. So we need to commit to this quote unquote build phase for at least 12 months of eating enough to actually push our best performance, therefore push our progress, therefore push our best physiques. If we don't ditch the scale, we are going to fuck ourselves over. The scale is always going to be our biggest bottleneck. You can say that it stopped triggering you. Chances are, if you step on it and then see a higher number one time, you're feeling really emotional and uncomfortable and it's PMS week, that could be enough to trigger you. Think about, what is it that I've been doing the last however many years? Do I actually want to put an end to this so I can feel more free in my body, in control of my results? The only way to do that is PR that process. Get obsessed with becoming your strongest, most energized, thriving self. And the only way to do that is by focusing on things that excite you, that grow you, like better execution in the gym, deeper squats, fuller range of motion, controlling your tempo, more in control of the weights, feeling things for the first time in the right places, improving that muscle connection. Though granted, you're not always going to feel it in all of your movements, especially in the 5 to 8 rep range. You're not always going to feel the muscles, but it doesn't mean they're not working. But if you can have this perspective shift on training as a skill, let's master this skill. Let's prioritize making this the best that I can make it. In the process, your body is going to change. So I covered 2 things just then: quality training and getting out of a deficit. I covered better execution. I covered where to focus in your training, and also why staying in a deficit forever is going to hold you back. Now I'm going to talk about calories and protein are probably the most important part of all of this. Yes, there is so much said about protein. The other one, calories, you can eat as clean as you want and say that you're eating really well, tidying up your diet, and you're not seeing muscle growth. But if you're not eating enough, or you're scared of eating more because you don't trust the process, I would say first get a coach if you don't trust the process, because it's going to be really hard to convince you otherwise. We feel our body so differently and it's different from what we used to, that it's going to be hard for us to go all in and to give it our best effort if we feel like we're sabotaging, quote unquote, our progress, when really we're not. We're on the way there. Well, are you on the way there? You also need carbs, because to fuel your best performance, you want quality training and to be able to put in your best efforts in a way that's going to lead to muscle growth, and you want to get out of a deficit. Now, the best way to bring these together to get your best results is going to be carbs, because carbs are your main fuel source, number one. Carbs are also, if you choose the right carbs, they're full of all the nutrients that you need. There's veggies, there's potato, there's other plants. If we think about the fact that training and our best performance is what drives physique gains, it's what drives the results that we want, then we want doing everything that we can to get the most out of that, don't we? Carbs are going to fuel that. Carbs are going to help us recover, feel stronger, get stronger. Like, you might feel like you're giving your best in the gym because that's what you're so used to. And it might be kind of strange at first to increase your carbs, but once you're in that process, you're going to realize just how much better you feel. Like, it is a completely different experience when you show up to training well fueled, having those extra calories to play with. It's going to pack a punch. Don't fear them. They're your best friend. The next one I do want to touch on, just on that note, is nutrient timing, because people are always like, what timing should I have, this, that, and the other? Most of that doesn't really matter as much as we think it does. But you do want to try to eat at consistent times, and you do want to get enough protein per meal, because that is going to be really important. At least 30 grams. Don't like nibble on protein throughout the day. Don't nibble on food throughout the day, because you're not getting enough of a bolus of protein within a serving. That is the only thing you need to worry about there: getting enough protein in the day and per meal, and having it in a buffer window of like pre and post workout. Yeah, okay, we know that, but it doesn't have to be as immediate as we think it does. In a deficit, I would be a lot more specific with making sure you do, because your body is already underfueled. So you need to do everything you can to optimize for that. But as long as it's like 2 to 3 hours either side, you're fine. The other one is, okay, so where do I have carbs pre, post workout sort of thing? I wouldn't really worry so much after the workout as I do before the workout, because the carbs are going to fuel your workout, et cetera, et cetera. After your workout, all that's important is making sure you eat enough carbs through the day and enough calories through the day instead of just after the gym. I would still say getting in some sort of food, some sort of carbs after training is important, because otherwise your body is going to be in like a depleted state. And then that's when you start to get more cravings and you won't feel satisfied for the rest of the day. With all that being said, make sure with quality training and fueling for the physique that you want, you also really emphasize this recovery aspect. Don't slack on sleep. Don't slack on stress management, and make sure that you do have your rest days. But all of this factors in together. But above all of that, the biggest thing that will hold you back is expecting progress to happen at the same rate as fat loss, waiting to see muscle gains happen, looking for signs of progress physically within a few weeks or even a couple of months, because muscle gain is the slowest process ever, which is why most people struggle with it. They feel like it's happening fast because they're eating more, it's uncomfortable, they feel bigger. Maybe fat loss is still in your mind because that's all you know. And it's such a hard thing to get out of, especially if you're like still in the initial phases of trying to see any form of results, because I know that when I started out with trying to see this and training harder, that was my biggest thing. If it wasn't for my own coach then stopping me, stop my shit for maybe a year and a half, because I was crazy myself, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it wasn't just a year and a half that I did that. It was 3 years of not dieting. Pretty sure 1.5 to 2 years was in the surplus. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have the lean body I have now, because lean is not just deficiting until the cows go home. Give me a better analogy. So stop changing things when progress slows. Stop switching programs. Stop adding more cardio. Stop dropping calories. Stop going back to a calorie deficit when you get uncomfortable. Give yourself time. The longer that you stay consistent, the more that you focus on the process, the actions, the zooming in of executing as best as you can, the easier it gets, because you start to have this perspective shift where you're chasing things that are exciting to you. You know that, yes, in future, I know that there's going to be a diet there, because I know that I want to lose fat long term, but not now. If I set myself up now, just imagine how much easier everything is going to be for me. I'm thriving on these higher calories. I'm thriving with more muscle. Imagine the churn and burn of fat. Imagine how much easier it is for me to stick to the process, because I'm finally building habits that allow me to. Versus before, when I was struggling to stick to it, when I didn't trust myself to stick to a diet because I always sabotage. So I always overate. So I was always undereating it. I knew that I was going to overeat after. Don't give up right before the real magic happens. It isn't about doing more, cutting harder, always trying to one up yourself, because more isn't going to get things done faster. You're not going to bake a cake faster. You're just going to burn it. So commit to the long term and you will see results. It's hard. We are so used to getting things instantaneously. Just think about how things have been working the prior however many years. You can make this something where you stop struggling and you stop trying for another 5-10 years, and you start making progress for 5-10 years. As in, you keep making progress from this day forward, if you are ready to commit to that. So I hope this helped. And please stop second guessing yourself. If you're frustrated with spinning your wheels, I hope that this resonated with you. Your stronger self is going to be so glad that you made the shift, because she is going to feel elated, amazing. She's going to feel in top of it all. She's going to feel like there's no more guesswork left, because she's feeling good. She's chasing PRs. She feels strong and she's hungry for more. And she has complete faith that she can sustain any results that she gets, because she's now proven it to herself. So if you're stuck, that's where a coach comes in. Love you all. I hope this helped. And I'll hear you on the next podcast. Wait, you'll hear me on the next podcast. Bye.